Our next speaker is Kulbhushan Singh Suryavanshi, and he's going to talk to us about a long-term bird monitoring program which has been running in Spiti Valley in Himachal Pradesh for almost 2 decades now. And I'm very excited to learn about their learnings from this program. So if we can have Kulu's video now.
Teenage years can be difficult, even in the life of a long-term monitoring program. Today, I'm going to be talking about one such program from the Spiti Valley in Himachal Pradesh. This is Spiti Valley, a Trans-Himalayan area during winter months. It's an area which is at an altitude of 4,000 meters. In 2002, Dr. Sridhar Shankaraman and Dr. Charudat Mishra set up this study to compare bird diversity and density across 4 different habitats. Originally, it was 3 habitats: agricultural fields, ungrazed reserves, grazed meadows, and grazed pastures were added later. In each of these habitats, originally there were 2 transects and 2 were added later to ungrazed reserves and grazed pastures. Each of these transects is 500 meters long at an elevation of 4,000 to 4,600 meters, and it is walked once a month for 5 months of the year between May and September, which is the productive season. Otherwise, it's covered in snow. On each of these transects, we measure the species that we see, the groups, their flock sizes, and the perpendicular distance from the transect so that we can use the distance sampling framework to estimate densities of birds. This is what these habitats look like. Up here is the grazed meadows. These are grazed pastures. Here are agricultural fields. And the ungrazed pastures look something like this. The first 9 years of this study have been summarized in this book chapter, which is available on NCF's website. I will be talking about the total data today. We've walked 446 transects over these 19 years with over 5,000 observations on 47 species of birds. The early analysis in this book chapter shows that ungrazed habitats have greater diversity of birds and agricultural fields have higher density and abundance of birds. But if you see, what you have in this graph is the number of transects we walk each year. In 2002, we were walking those 6 transects for 5 months, and it accounted to about 40 transects a year. Then we added more sites, but we couldn't keep up with that effort, so we had to drop them. After 2002, because of logistics and changing priorities of our research program, the frequency of these transects dropped down to once per year instead of once a month. It stopped altogether in 2015, but then we managed to revive it, add a couple of new sites and a couple of new transects, and we've been continuing it ever since. Today, I'm going to be presenting the common data that we have for all these years. If you compare the density estimate just from the first 9 years with the total data, there is hardly any difference in bird density. But this seeming no change pattern is actually governed by a lot of vigorous dynamics underneath. Across years, there is very high variation in bird density. Between 2002 and 2020, a lot seems to have happened. The overall pattern is that the densities dropped and there was a gradual buildup. But when we look at the different habitats carefully, we realize there's a common pattern of densities dropping after 2002, gradually building up until 2017, and possibly another drop. You see this in agricultural fields, grazed meadows, grazed pastures we couldn't compare because we don't have data from the first year. This pattern is possibly created by some of these dominant species. 1 in every 8 individuals is a black redstart and a horned lark, and they show this pattern very consistently. But more importantly, the Tibetan snowfinch shows this pattern most clearly. It dropped dramatically after 2002 until 2008. Then there was a gradual buildup, and there is another crash. It occurs across all different habitats, so it is hard to say what is causing this pattern. But not all species recover similarly. Great rose finch had a similar crash around 2012-13 and has not managed to recover since then. The Hume's lark had the same drop and never recovered from the first drop itself. This species mainly occurs in agricultural fields, and agricultural fields have changed from being barley dominated cropping to P-dominated cropping, and we suspect this to be the cause behind the disappearance of the species. So to summarize, regional factors seem to be more important in driving the pattern of annual densities of birds in this area, because all the different habitats show the same pattern and many different species also seem to show the same pattern. Agricultural transformations have definitely led to the disappearance of at least one species and possibly affected many more species and the community assemblage at large. There seems to be some sort of long-term cyclicity in all of this. We are yet not sure whether it's environmental factor or certain regional factors that are causing this cyclicity, but it needs closer examination. So what are the lessons that we learned over these 19 years? One is to plan for transition of people. More than 4 people have handled this program in the last 19 years. We needed to have short-term questions which kept the people interested and long-term questions that set the vision for this program. And there is always a give and take between this. There may be need to add new things or to remove things that don't work. I mentioned we tried to add some sites, but then some of these sites were not working. So we had to stop doing those. But to keep things interesting, what is most important is to have regular trainings and regular workshops so that the enthusiasm remains high. And even if one is forced to shut down things for some time, one can always make a comeback. We made a comeback after 6 years of hiatus. Up next, we want to include a program which is based on road surveys to include soaring raptors, which are not captured by our current monitoring system. This program we hope to start from 2021. I would like to thank many people, Sridhar and Charu, who started this program, but Sushil, Thille, Kalzang, and Rinchin, they've collected the lion's share of data on this program, and Chunit Kesang, Tandup Charing, and Tenzin Thuptan and Casper, who've also helped collect data over these years. Thank you very much, and I'll take questions.
Right. Thanks, Gulu. That's a really spectacular effort. We have questions trickling in. Vijay is asking, are there plans to associate these declines and changes with environmental data, perhaps climatic data?
Absolutely. I mean, there are several aspects we would want to investigate, climate data being one, land use change being another. Also, many of these are migratory species, so we would also want to see how we can use information on their global pattern to understand what's happening in Spiti, which is why I concluded by saying that regional level effects seem to be more important in driving the interannual variation in this region.
Thanks. Japal asks, what are the agricultural transformation which caused the decline in Hume's short-toed lark populations?
So this is speculation. So we haven't investigated this in detail. But back in 2002, much of the agricultural area was being used to cultivate barley, which is a grass essentially. However, over the last 19 years, it has shifted dramatically to peas, which is a legume. And so it changes the structure of the agricultural fields and availability of seed and other nutrients. So we suspect that change has caused the Hume's lark to disappear, because agricultural fields is the primary area where we documented these birds in the past.
Right. And you spoke a little bit about learnings. This is a question that I'm asking you. If you had to prioritize just one thing that you would have done differently at the beginning of your monitoring program, what would it be?
Well, planning for people again. I think, because those transitions always came as surprises, and when that happens, you see there are gap years, and many of those gap years correspond to transition between people. So it usually takes a year for the new person to understand, and if those are planned better, I think programs can be more sustainable and work smoothly.
Right. Thanks, Gulu. We have some more questions coming in on Slack, and I'm sure people will continue to post. So please do continue to respond and interact on Slack.
Thank you, Preeti.